Beyond the Gates, spoilers tease that an unexpected reunion is about to unfold in the most unlikely of places, setting the stage for emotions to collide and loyalties to be tested. Chelsea Hamilton, weighed down by the anxiety of her father's faltering health, steps through the sliding glass doors of Mercy General Hospital, her suitcase of childhood photographs and keepsakes tucked beneath her arm. The antiseptic scent and the hum of fluorescent lights greet her like old acquaintances. This is a place she knows all too well, yet today it feels strangely foreign. She pauses at the reception desk. Bill's nurse, a kindly woman with pursed lips, offers a sympathetic smile and directs Chelsea down a corridor lined with muted artwork. Chelsea's steps echo on the polished floor as she steels herself today. She must confront the possibility that her father, the man who once towered over her childhood world, might slip away. Each footfall carries the weight of memories. Bill teaching her to ride a bike on the driveway, his booming laughter when she won her first science fair, the quiet bedtime stories he read in his creaky armchair. Rounding a corner, Chelsea nearly collides with a tall, poised woman in scrubs whose eyes widen in recognition. The woman steps back, blinking, as if seeing Chelsea for the first time. Chelsea's breath catches. "Madison," she asks, voice unsteady. The name feels strange on her tongue. Madison Montgomery, the enigmatic stranger she'd met last week at the Velvet Lounge, a dimly lit bar where Chelsea went to escape her worries. At the time, Madison had been a confidant, listening intently to Chelsea's frustrations over friendship betrayals and family legacies. They'd exchanged numbers on a napkin, traded a few texts, then life's demands had swept Chelsea away. Now Madison stands before her in crisp surgical greens, a stethoscope draped around her neck. Recognition blooms in Madison's eyes, quickly replaced by a professional composure. "Chelsea," she says, extending a hand that feels both familiar and electrifying. "I'm so sorry you're here under these circumstances." Chelsea's fingers curl around Madison's as though seeking an anchor. "Didn't realize you worked here," she stammers. Madison offers a gentle smile. "I'm Bill Hamilton's cardiologist. He's in recovery from last night's procedure." "Your father fought hard through the night." Relief and guilt surge through Chelsea in equal measure. "Thank you for everything you've done." Madison's gaze softens. "It's my privilege. Bill's a remarkable man." She steps aside, ushering Chelsea toward the glass-walled ICU suite. The bright monitors and quiet vigil of nurses create an atmosphere of solemn hope. Madison stands at Bill's bedside, checking his chart with practiced efficiency. Chelsea watches the ease with which Madison navigates the medical team, her authority unmistakable, her compassion palpable. When Madison steps away, she turns to Chelsea, her voice lowering. "He had some arrhythmia overnight, but we've stabilized him. We'll keep monitoring, but right now he's resting." Chelsea nods, blinking back tears. She settles into a vinyl chair beside her father's bed, clutching a framed photo of Bill and herself at her college graduation. Madison offers a stack of tissues and a cup of lukewarm water. "Take your time," she says. Over the next hour, Chelsea finds herself opening up to Madison as though years had passed since their barroom encounter. She confesses nightmares of losing her father, of failing him, of the emptiness she senses creeping into her life whenever she imagines a future without him. Madison listens without judgment, her dark eyes reflecting empathy that reaches beyond the clinical. When Chelsea's voice breaks, Madison places a steadying hand on her shoulder. The warmth of that touch sends a jolt through Chelsean unfamiliar current that makes her heart pound and her cheeks flush. In the days that follow, Chelsea returns to the hospital each morning, her routine anchored by Madison's presence. They share small rituals, a quiet nod in the hallway, whispered updates on Bill's progress, the exchange of half-finished cups of coffee from the cafeteria. In the solarium overlooking the hospital courtyard, Chelsea and Madison sit side by side on a wrought iron bench, the morning sun slanting through the windows. Chelsea recounts anecdotes of her father's childhood, how he once built a treehouse for her, how he taught her to skip stones on the lake behind their home. Madison smiles, tucks a stray curl behind her ear, and replies with stories of her own family's medical dramas, her mother's stroke when she was a teenager, the late-night vigils she'd kept at her brother's bedside during his marathon recovery. Their shared vulnerability forges a bond faster than either expects. Chelsea begins to depend on Madison's steady presence more than on her own family members who, though loving, are mired in their own grief and guilt. Naomi's exhaustion keeps her at Bill's cottage, managing paperwork and insurance calls, while Vernon, the ever-reliable friend, juggles visits with Naomi and drop-in check-ins at the hospital. None of them offer the same blend of professional authority and personal warmth that Madison does. Yet as their friendship deepens, an undercurrent of tension ripples beneath the surface. Chelsea finds herself attempting to gauge Madison's glances, fleeting lingers that speak of unspoken sentiments. When Madison reaches to tuck a blanket around Bill's legs, her fingers brush Chelsea's hand ever so slightly, and Chelsea pulls back with a small start, chastising herself for imagining things. Still, the warmth of that contact lingers like an ember against her skin. One afternoon, Madison invites Chelsea to join her in reviewing Bill's post-op care plan in an exam room. The compact space is lined with medical diagrams, a whiteboard scribbled with notes on medication dosages and diet restrictions. Madison perches on the edge of the exam table, legs crossed, and Chelsea sits in the plastic visitor's chair, folding her hands in her lap. Madison's tone is gentle but direct. "We need to talk about your coping strategies," she says. "You're under tremendous stress, and while Bill's recovery is our priority, your mental health matters too." Chelsea flushes, surprised by the concern. "I'm fine," she insists, though her voice wavers. Madison's gaze sharpens, perceptive, unflinching. "You're not. I see the way you flinch when alarms go off, how you flinch when I step closer. Tell me you're all right." Chelsea's defenses crumble. She admits sleepless nights, panic attacks in the chapel, the overwhelming guilt that she has not been there enough for her father or for Naomi. Madison listens, then guides her through breathing exercises, low counts, hand-over-heart grounding techniques, teaching Chelsea how to anchor herself in the present. In the soft aftermath of the exercise, Chelsea feels an unexpected rush of gratitude and something more, something charged. She studies Madison's profile, the graceful slope of her nose, the way her lips part as she explains things, the subtle curve of her cheekbone. Chelsea's heart flutters uncomfortably. At that moment, Madison reaches out, tucking a loose strand of Chelsea's hair behind her ear. Their eyes meet, and the air pulsates with an unspoken confession. Chelsea's breath hitches, and she looks away, cheeks aflame. Later that evening, Chelsea's home feels empty without Madison's presence. She scrolls through her phone to find messages from Madison. "How's he today? Don't forget to eat. Remember our breathing exercise?" Chelsea drafts replies but deletes them, telling herself she's being unprofessional, inappropriate. Still, her finger hovers over the send button. She craves Madison's reassurance. When Chelsea returns to the hospital the next morning, she finds the corridor hushed, the air thick with anticipation. She rounds the bend and nearly collides with Dr. Jacobs, the senior attending physician. He regards her gravely. "Madison's away today, conference in Seattle. She asked me to let you know that she's proud of how you're handling everything." Chelsea nods numbly, disappointment washing over her. "Thank you," she manages. As Dr. Jacobs continues down the hallway, Chelsea's heart sinks. Madison's absence leaves a vacuum, and she finds herself pacing outside Bill's room, untethered and anxious. That afternoon, when Chelsea checks her phone, she sees an incoming video call from Madison. Her chest tightens at the sight of Madison's tired, unmade face, hospital scrubs hanging still on a clothes rack behind her. Chelsea hesitates before answering. Madison's voice, when it comes, is hoarse with travel fatigue, but bright with warmth. Hey, stranger. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. How's he doing? Chelsea's stern resolve crumbles. Better, she whispers. He's stable. But to miss you. The words tumble out before she can catch them. Madison's breath catches. I miss you too, she says softly. It's only one day. I'll be back tomorrow. Chelsea swipes a finger over the screen, her thumb brushing Madison's image as though trying to reach across the miles. A sudden vulnerability floods her. Madison's kindness, her expert care, the quiet intensity of her concern, all of it has become indispensable. And beneath her gratitude lies a thread of something Chelsea can hardly name yet, longing that frightens her. When Madison returns the following morning, Chelsea is waiting outside Bill's door. Their eyes meet, and for a moment, neither speaks. Madison steps forward and envelopes Chelsea in a careful hug, one arm around her shoulders, their faces inches apart. Chelsea feels the warmth of Madison's body, the scent of antiseptic and something soft, like lavender. Her heart pounds so fiercely she worries Madison will hear it. Madison pulls back, studying Chelsea's face. You're tense, she murmurs, voice low. Talk to me. Chelsea's lips part, but no words come. Instead, she sinks onto a stool by Bill's bed, burying her face in her hands. Madison sits beside her and gently tugs her hands away, guiding Chelsea's hands into her own. Hey, Madison says. Breathe with me. And together, they inhale and exhale, the rhythm of their breaths merging, a silent communion that leaves Chelsea dizzy. Later, when Chelsea visits the chapel within the hospital, the only place she can find a moment's solitude, she kneels before the altar, whispering prayers for her father's survival. But the prayer that truly consumes her is one she cannot say aloud, that Madison's feelings for her might be just as strong, that she might want more than a friendship, that she might feel something she has never felt for anyone else. The thought frightens her, unravels her. She bows her head, tears slipping free. She knows she must face these feelings, must decide whether to embrace them or flee, but she feels unmoored, uncertain where her heart will lead. As evening settles over Mercy General, Chelsea and Madison cross paths once more in the dimly lit corridor. Madison's expression is tender, her steps hesitating. Chelsea, she says softly. Can we talk? Chelsea's pulse hammers in her ears. She nods, following Madison into a small consultation room. The door closes behind them with a faint click. Madison turns, gaze steady. I know this is complicated, she begins, voice wavering despite her effort to remain composed. I know you're here for your father. I'd never want to interfere with that. But I can't deny what I feel. Chelsea's throat tightens at Madison's words, her heart torn between loyalty to her father's recovery and the stirrings of an unexpected desire. Madison takes a cautious step closer. I care about you, Chelsea, she continues. More than just a patient's daughter. I've tried to keep it professional, but every time I see you, my resolve crumbles. She brushes her thumb across Chelsea's hand, the contact electric. Chelsea's breath catches in her throat as she meets Madison's earnest gaze. Chelsea's instincts flare fear, confusion, the sheer wrongness of mixing romance with her father's care. Madison, she begins, voice trembling. But Madison gently lifts a finger to her lips, silencing the protest. I know it's sudden, she says. But the heart doesn't ask permission. I just needed you to know. Chelsea steps back, wounded and bewildered. I shouldn't, she whispers. You're his doctor. This crosses a line. Her voice cracks, tears glimmering in her eyes. Madison's face falls, regret mingling with longing. A loud beep from the nurse's station down the hall interrupts them. Chelsea glances toward the door, panic flaring at the thought of being seen. I have to go, she says, voice tight. She turns and flees the room, leaving Madison standing alone amidst the sterile walls and clinical charts. In the hush that follows, Madison's shoulders slump as she watches Chelsea's retreating figure. She whispers into the silence, "I'm sorry," but the words echo unanswered. The door's click seems to resonate like a verdict. Chelsea stumbles through the corridor, adrenaline coursing. She pauses at a window overlooking the city skyline, the fading light a melancholy mirror to her turmoil. She presses her palm against the glass, tears falling unchecked. The woman she thought she'd found a confidant, a friend, perhaps something more has revealed feelings that shake the foundations of Chelsea's already fragile world. As night descends, Chelsea knows she must choose between her father's care, her own emotional safety, and the tangled web of feelings Madison has unraveled. But for now, she stands alone in the hospital corridor, caught between gratitude, guilt, and a yearning she cannot yet name. The gates have opened once more, and beyond them lie choices that will test her heart and her faith in ways she never imagined. Chelsea spent the night tossing between hope and dread, every thought circling Madison's confession like a moth drawn to a flame. By morning, she swore to herself that she would maintain distancino lunch in the solarium, no whispered updates in the hallway, no accidental brushes of hands. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. The day began with Naomi calling to say that Bill's blood pressure had spiked again. He needed more monitoring. Chelsea found herself back in the ICU before the sun had fully risen, spirit heavy with the weight of duty. She avoided Madison's station, slipping past the nurse's desk with downcast eyes. Madison, clad once more in her crisp greens, looked up in surprise and pain when Chelsea breezed by without so much as a glance. Bill, pale but alert, managed a weak smile when Chelsea entered. "Good morning, sunshine," he croaked, his voice rough from the ventilator tube. Chelsea sat beside him, clasping his hand, determined to focus wholly on her father. He squeezed her fingers. "You look tired," he observed. "You should get some rest." She forced a smile. "I'm fine, Dad. You just keep getting better." His chest heaved with effortful breaths. "I worry about you, too," he murmured. "Promise me you'll eat something today." Chelsea nodded and left him sipping apple juice and arranging her strength for her next encounter. As she exited the room, Madison was there, arms folded, her expression guarded. Chelsea hesitated, trapped by her own resolve and the unspoken bond between them. Madison's voice was gentle. "I'm sorry," she began, stepping forward. "I shouldn't have said what I did yesterday." Heart pounding, Chelsea shook her head. Noya had to say it. She searched Madison's eyes for kindness rather than guilt, but found neither entirely. "I just didn't know how to handle it." Madison's shoulders relaxed as she exhaled. "I understand. Maybe I was rash." She paused, taking a steadying breath. "But what I feel for you is real. I won't apologize for that." The admission shimmered between them. Chelsea opened her mouth to respond, then remembered Bill's admonition to eat. She closed her mouth, nodding. "I should get breakfast," she said, voice hollow. "I'll see you later." Without waiting for a reply, she spun and walked away. Alone, Madison watched Chelsea retreat, her chest tightening with regret. She had perhaps pushed too hard, but honesty had been her only recourse. For the first time since Bill's admission, Madison felt a drift fear that she might lose Chelsea's trust and companionship, the very support Chelsea needed most. Chelsea, meanwhile, made her way to the hospital cafeteria, the aroma of stale coffee and microwaved meals doing little to soothe her nerves. She picked at a fruit cup while replaying Madison's words. Did Madison truly like her? Or was she projecting emotions born of long hours spent calming terrified families? Chelsea's heart twisted at the thought that her confidant might be hopelessly, irrevocably in love with her. The shame, the complication, felt impossible to bear. After breakfast, Chelsea returned to Bill's room. He was alert, more lucid than earlier, and they spoke of triviality-sold VHS tapes of family vacations, Bill's planned celebration dinner once he returned home. Their laughter was tentative but genuine, and for a moment, Chelsea could almost forget the turmoil. But as she kissed Bill's forehead and promised to be back later, the dread settled in again, gnawing like a hungry creature. That afternoon, Naomi sent a text, "Can you handle the next few hours? I need to run over to the house to grab files for the bank." Chelsea typed back, "Of course. Everything's stable here. Naomi, thanks. Let me know if you need anything." The shorthand exchange reminded Chelsea of her responsibilities to her father, to her family, and she steeled herself for the hours ahead. Left alone, Chelsea found herself wandering the hospital's sunlit solarium. The familiar sanctuary of potted palms and trickling fountains felt hollow without Madison's presence. She took a seat on the wrought iron bench, tucking her legs beneath her, and stared at the patterns of light on the tile floor. Her phone buzzed. It was Madison. "Hope things are quiet. I'll pop by in an hour if that's okay." Chelsea's chest constricted. If she declined, Madison might feel snubbed. If she agreed, the emotional tension would start anew. After a moment, she tapped, "See you then." The seconds before the reply felt interminable. True to her word, Madison arrived soon after, clipboard in hand. She wore a soft blouse under her scrubs, a small flourish of femininity that sent a twist of longing through Chelsea's gut. Madison approached with cautious optimism. "I hope I'm not interrupting," she said quietly. Chelsea looked up and shook her head. "No, thank you for checking on me." Their gazes met, and for an instant, the world seemed to narrow to the space between them. Madison gestured to a nearby table. They sat, backs to the fountain. Madison folded her hands over the clipboard. "Bill's labs came back better," she began, relief brightening her face. "We can start weaning him off some of the medications gradually." Chelsea exhaled, letting the tension slip from her shoulders just a fraction. "That's good," she whispered. Encouraged, Madison pressed on. "But Chelsea, I also wanted to check in on you. How are you holding up?" Chelsea's throat tightened. She forced a laugh. "Imaging." Madison tilted her head, inquisitive. "Is there anything I can do to help? Even if it's just listening." Chelsea swallowed the lump in her throat, torn between the safety of silence and the need for solace. Finally, she admitted, "I'm scared. I don't know what I'll do if I lose him." Her voice cracked with emotion. Madison reached across the space between them, taking Chelsea's hand in both of hers. The contact triggered a surge of warmth that Chelsea could not deny. Her breath caught as she looked into Madison's earnest face, eyes dark with compassion, lips curved in a gentle smile. "I know," Madison said softly. "But you're not alone. I'm here." The words were a balm, soft and insistent. Chelsea felt the dam of her resolve weakening. She squeezed Madison's hand, then withdrew, uncertainty warring with yearning. "Thank you," she murmured. "I just need some air." Madison nodded, reluctant but understanding. They stood, and Chelsea offered Madison a brief, awkward Hugon embrace, more of gratitude than affection. Madison's arms wrapped gently around her, and Chelsea surrendered to the comfort for just a heartbeat before pulling away. In the days that followed, Bill's condition stabilized further, and he was transferred out of ICU to a private room. Chelsea rejoiced, texting Naomi with the news and already imagining the day when Bill would come home. Yet, even as hope bloomed, Chelsea felt the threads of her growing connection to Madison tighten, drawing her toward emotions she scarcely understood. One evening, as the hospital corridors quieted, Chelsea arrived to find Madison waiting outside Bill's room. She was alone, beneath the amber glow of the hallway lights, her posture tense. "Chelsea," Madison said, voice low. "I've been thinking." Her words trailed off, and Chelsea's heart thundered. She steeled herself for another confession, another plea that Chelsea did not know how to answer. Madison continued, gathering courage. I know I crossed a line by revealing my feelings, but the more time I spend with you, the more certain I am that this isn't just a crush. She swallowed, her gaze unwavering. I care for you deeply even if now you only see me as Bill's doctor, as your friend. I can't pretend otherwise. She stepped closer, and Chelsea felt the warmth radiate from Madison's body. I'm not asking you to return my feelings just to acknowledge them. If we can't explore what might be, just let me know so I can stop hoping. Her vulnerability laid bare, Madison's voice trembled with earnest longing. Chelsea closed her eyes, the tension in her limbs uncoiling into an ache. She remembered Bill's laugh, the way Naomi had come to rely on her steadiness, the vows of loyalty she had made to her family. And yet, she could not deny the stirrings in her own heart, the way her breaths quickened in Madison's presence, the way her thoughts drifted to Madison at odd moments during the day. But society's expectations, professional boundaries, and fear of scandal loomed large. Tears pricked Chelsea's eyes. She shook her head, voice barely audible. I can't. Not now. This is too complicated. At her words, Madison's shoulders drooped as though a physical weight had settled there. Chelsea's heart constricted with guilt. I care about you, she rushed to add. I just need time to think. Madison managed a small, sad smile. I understand, she whispered. She turned and walked away, the echo of her footsteps a painful drum in Chelsea's ears. Chelsea watched her go, grief mingling with relief as though she had both lost and preserved something precious. That night, Chelsea lay awake in the guest room off Bill's hospital suite, her mind a swirl of regret and longing. She replayed every glance, every brush of skin, every word exchanged. She knew she was at a crossroads, to embrace the possibility of love with Madison and risk upheaval in her family's world, or to shut herself off and preserve the delicate equilibrium around her father's care. The next morning, Chelsea arrived to find Madison already at Bill's side, checking his 4 lines. Their eyes met briefly. Madison offered a small nod, her expression unreadable. Chelsea opened her mouth to speak, then closed it. Instead, she squeezed Madison's hand and offered a tentative smile. Madison's face lit with relief. Later, as the sun reached its zenith, Bill was well enough to join Chelsea and Madison for a brief stroll down the hospital's private garden path. Bill, cane in hand, walked between them, regaining his strength with each step. Chelsea slipped her father's arm through hers, while Madison offered her steadying arm on the other side. The three formed a semblance of family, daughter, father, and doctor, walking through dappled shade and fragrant blooms. Under the shade of a magnolia, Bill paused. He looked up at Chelsea, then at Madison. I couldn't have gotten this far without both of you, he said, voice strong. Chelsea felt a surge of gratitude and affection for Madison, her kindness, her unwavering dedication. Her heart swelled with conflicting emotions, admiration, yearning, fear. Madison met Chelsea's gaze, silent understanding passing between them. For now, their future remained uncertain, bound by duty to Bill's recovery, yet beckoned by a deeper connection neither could ignore. As they continued down the winding path, the possibilities stretched before them: confession, rejection, reconciliation, or something entirely new. And in that moment, each step they took carried them closer to choices that would reshape their lives beyond the gates of Mercy General.